What's happening?
Hello, good morning. Oh, Dave is here. Awesome. So if I run off of the camera for a second, I'm just letting somebody into the building, so I will be right back. Welcome to the Going Executive Show. Our purpose is to share with you the vision, skills, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and the daily activities needed for you to build a solid, profitable business. Remember, this is our team's philosophy. You need to do what's best for your business and your family. A dull pencil is better than a sharp mind, and I'll leave it to you, Jeff.
Awesome. So guys, what we're going to talk about today is basically building your business rapid fire. How do you build your business? How do you go quickly? How do you make it happen? How do you get people involved as fast as possible? So that way you can build to basically whatever level you'd like to build to. I'm sending out some quick invites to some strategic people who have asked to jump on here, who are actually involved in what we do. Josh Rose, Brendan, because we're putting this together rather quickly. Christy, yeah. Dave, Jerry, Dusty, Dave, Bryant, Taylor, Brian, Katie Smith, Jessica, William. It's Good Friday, so welcoming everybody on. Appreciate you guys for jumping on. That way you know what we're doing. But this is a contact sport, meaning the more people you contact, the better the results you're going to get. But we're going to talk about how to contact people and how to go really quick. Rich is here. What's up, sir? Congrats on going to be there soon. Michael, what's happening? So we're going to give out some tips on how to go really, really fast and get this done. Rich is here. What's up, sir? Who wants to come on camera? So the very first thing you want to do if you want to go really, really quickly, Max is here. What's up, sir? If you want to go really, really quickly, you're going to start with a list. Now, I have a background in doing this, and there is a saying that says, if someone's bought once, the likelihood of them buying twice is really good. Max has been in sales. He knows this. If somebody walks into his furniture store and they've already purchased something in the past, the likelihood of them purchasing something again from that person is good. Now, there's two ways to really go about building a business inside of direct sales, inside of network marketing, inside of this space, this industry. You can go after civilians or you can go after soldiers. And what do I mean by that? Well, civilians would be, what's up, man? Civilians would be anything like, you know, they have no idea what the industry is. They have no idea how it works. They have no idea what it's about. And they're not bought into the idea of owning your own business. There's a percentage of people out there that will never believe in owning your own business. Why? Because they've been trained out of it. Benny's with us. What's up, sir? They've been trained out of the idea that it's okay to build your own business. It's okay to have, you know, money outside of doing what you're doing. And there's really four different categories of people. One is someone who basically believes you're supposed to go to work, you're supposed to get a job, and you're supposed to work for 40 years. I mean, that's one group of people. And that's a large group of people. You know, 80 to 90% of the United States, 80 to 90% of the world, that's what is being taught. Go to school, get good grades, go out and get a great job. Let someone else take on the risk. Let someone else take on the responsibility. Let someone else have the freedom. They forget to tell you that one. Let someone else have the freedom. Let someone else have the profit. They also don't mention that. Let someone else have the long-term security of having 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people working for them. That's basically what the majority of people are taught to do. Now, why are they taught to do that? Well, basically because the system that was built is built around the idea that the people who have the money set up the system and want to keep it that way. You know, people who acquire power usually want to keep that power. So that's the largest percentage of people that are getting trained and taught inside of the system being television, the system being the media, the system being school, the system being the powers that be. Then there's a smaller group of people that kind of get fed up with that whole idea and they decide to be self-employed. The self-employed is I could do this for somebody else, but I could also do it for myself. I could work for a painting company, but I could paint myself. I could do massage for a company, like a franchise, or I could just do massage for myself. I could do hair, I could, have a landscaping business. I could, start a construction company. I could work for myself, or I could work, right, Dave? Tile. You could do it for yourself. And that's about 15% of people. 10 to 15% of people are like, nope, I can do this on my own. Chad's with us. What's up, sir? And they're going to go off and do their thing. Then there's a really, really small group of people that basically are like, you know what, if I built a business out of this, if I replaced myself, if I had somebody else doing the work, right? If I had somebody else working with me, then what I could do is I could kind of print a blueprint of what to do. I could write out the responsibilities, I could write out the pattern, and I could bring on somebody else. And if I had one, I might be able to make a certain amount of money. If I could have multiple people, I could make way, way more money. By the way, out there, there's out in the hallway, you can't do that either because there's people on both sides. They can hear you. Okay, yeah. It's just,
You could just sit in my office here.
yeah, if you want to make a phone call. So this is basically what we're talking about, is being able to get a hold of, sorry, we've got all kinds of things going on here. This is going to give you the ability to, to talk with a completely different kind of person that has figured it out. If they figured out how to run an advertisement, if they figured out how to interview, if they figured out how to ask questions, if they figured out how to hire, if they figured out how to narrow it down, then what's going to end up happening? That's the type of person that could come into a direct sales company and go quickly because they've already established influence. They already understand the basics of recruiting. So what are the basics of recruiting? Contacting, inviting and setting up an appointment. So you got contacting, inviting, which is setting up the appointment, presenting, third party or anything to answer the questions that's not you, and then the last part is the event. They kind of already get that. Like real estate agents that I worked with, they knew how to contact, they knew how to set appointments, they knew how to present, they already knew how to send information to people, and last, they knew about events. Why did they know about events? Because real estate investors go to investor meetings. There's something called RIA, the Real Estate Investors Association of, America. And there's also SARIA and all these different, they're called RIAs because the last three letters is always the same, but the marketplaces are different. Like SARIA is Central Indianapolis Real Estate Investors Association. And these are all over the country. Tracy's with us. What's happening? So if you're going to recruit and build an army of people, there's these different people out there. The average person, meaning the average person that just went out and got a job, doesn't understand contact, invite, present, follow up. Like they don't understand the patterns. You have to teach each of these skills. Now, I'm saying most people who have a job don't understand this. There are some jobs that teach some of these skills, but they teach them to work for someone else. Like we're going to hand you the leads and we're going to tell you what to say and we're going to, and we're going to govern the time frame. And if you don't call this many people, you're fired and you're going to make $10 an hour just to sit here and basically be a drone. Now, for those of you who don't know this, because most people don't know this, that in the average business, whatever you get hired at, so if you get hired at $10 an hour or $20 an hour, $30, whatever the hourly rate is, the average business makes 9 times more off of that person than what they hire them for. That's kind of a generality, but in most cases it's true. Why? Because they have to pay taxes on that. They have to pay, OSHA and all these other regulations. They have to pay for group insurance. They have to pay for benefits. They have to pay for all this stuff. And in the end, there's a profit margin left over off of each individual person. So think about that. If the business is paying you $10 an hour, the business is making from your efforts about $90 an hour. That kind of puts things in perspective. So when you feel like, I'm being treated like 10% of what I should, you are. Like, that's not a joke. That you really are. So how do you go from that, recruiting that kind of person who has the mentality of this is safer, I don't have to think, I don't have to create, I don't have to design, I don't have to worry, I don't have to risk, which is what most people's drive is. Most people's drive, and for those of you who don't know this, your basic human instinct, what's built inside of every person, is this basic human instinct that seeks a comfort zone where nothing ever changes. That's what people seek. So what they do is they get into the job. Why is it so hard to recruit and sponsor someone who just has a job? It's because they get into that comfort zone
And even if they're not paying all their bills, or paying most of their bills, even if they're struggling and they're going through bad things, they're so used to it, they're so comfortable in that misery that it's very hard to pull them out. And The Matrix, which, was a movie about martial arts and, electronics and all this other stuff, was really talking about, if you watch it again, was really talking about people who basically get so hooked into society, so hooked into the way that they were taught to be, that they're not even able to open their eyes and see what else is going on around them. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on around them. There's businesses being built, there's people getting taken advantage of, there's power struggles, there's, all this other garbage that's going on. I'm not saying there's a lot other stuff going on than just business, but in most cases, they can't even see the basics of what's happening economically. And as Grant Cardone said, we live in an economic world. We live in an economic world. If you don't understand that, basically a third of the world lives in an economic world. And what we mean by a third of that is, if you look at the 7 billion people on Earth, approximately 2 to 2.5 billion, almost 3 billion, live in a world where economics dominates and rules everything we do. The other 2/3 is basically struggling to find food, water, shelter, just the basics, because their systems aren't set up yet, or being taken advantage of. I know there's a lot of that too. So for those of us who live in this economic world, you have to play the game that's being dealt to you, unless you want to pick it all up, move to a third world country, prop up a tent, start fishing, start hunting, start gathering, start planting, and try to make it that way. And there's some people that's what they decide to do. I don't fault them. That's your prerogative. Everybody has, their 50 to 100 years on Earth, and you get to do it your way. And I don't hate anybody for doing it their way, as long as you're not getting in my way. If you get in my way, you'll probably get run over or moved aside. I will try to move you aside first, but if you stand in my way, I'll probably run you over. Why is that? Because even if you're on the right track, if you're not moving, you will get run over by somebody. You're going to get run over by a boss. You're going to get run over by the system. You're going to get run over by, people who are moving and doing things. And I don't mean like I'm going to get in my car and run you over. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about moving you aside or moving past what you're doing because you're unwilling to get out of that comfort zone and do something with your life. Some people just aren't willing. That's okay. Donald's with us. What's happening, sir? So, back to this idea of what you need to be doing. How do you rapidly build guys, this is rapid fire building for any business. You start out with, what are you trying to produce? What's the clientele you're trying to produce, and where are they going to come from? Obviously there's a big population. So in our massage holistic company, what we did is we narrowed down, okay, what is the typical clientele we're looking for, and where are they coming from? We went to the sources where we knew we would find them, and we started placing ads, and we started talking with people, and we started basically online marketing, and that is way harder and way more money. To let you know, we spent upwards of $1,000 a month just to bring a person in the door. $1,000 a month just to bring a person in the door. And there were certain activities that it took on a daily basis to bring those people in the door. Eventually, we got that cranked up and we got it working. Now, the average person isn't going to understand contact, invite, present. But if you get to self-employed people, most self-employed people have already taken on the responsibility that they understand they're going to have to contact or advertise or market. They understand that they're going to have to set up some type of intake system for every single person who calls them. You know what I mean? There's going to be some language and some verbiage. And some people have figured it out. They're really good at it. And some people suck. I mean, they're terrible at that part. If they do get somebody in the door, then the next part is to be able to set an appointment and actually close on that deal, to be able to what? To be able to present whatever you're doing and, and say, hey, this is why me. This is why me. This is why now. To be able to go through that process. And that process is a skill. So there's a skill to contacting. The right words in the right order will produce results, right? There's a skill to that. Kenny, what's going on? So there's a skill to contacting. There's a skill to setting an appointment. There's something called the choices clause, and what it does is it gives people two options, and then eventually what happens is you've already chosen the two options, and it's a really cool process. Two options, and finally you have a resolve, or you have a date that you're going to meet. Now the interesting thing is I'm the one who picks the two options. So what it feels like to the other person is they are choosing, that's what I call the choices clause, they're choosing what's best for them. So in the end, they feel like they set the appointment, when in reality they had nothing to do with that appointment. We set the appointment. Now, Brandy got really good at this because in our massage holistic business, we run advertising and we get incoming calls. Now, the problem with advertising is not only will you get incoming calls, you'll get incoming calls about what you advertise about, but you'll get every other stupid question in the world on top of that. You know, hey, are you guys located in Cincinnati? No. Are you guys located in Bloomington? No. Are you guys located, you know, on the East Coast? No. We're just located here. If you read the description, it says we're located in Indianapolis only. Well, will you drive to Louisville, Kentucky? Will you drive to Chicago? Will you drive to? Oh, yeah, I'm going to get in the car 3.5 hours to spend 1 hour with your dumb ass. No, there's no way possible that that's going to happen. But people will ask all kinds of stupid questions. So you have to have a filtering system to be able to run through. Then you're going to have a process to be able to book an appointment. That is the same in every business. It doesn't matter if it's real estate or direct sales network marketing or holistic health coaching or, you know, car sales. It's really the same process over and over again. Brandy got really, really good at that process, that intake process. Do you want to tell me about the choices close?
The choices close?
Can you do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, you do that. I'm gonna run upstairs.
Okay. I'll let you get out of here for a second. I'm just gonna steal your chair. That's gonna be easier. Plus, it's taller. So, with the choices closed, so like Jeff said, you're the one who's actually picking the two choices, but you're giving them the option. So when somebody contacts, I'm just going to use our holistic health business, for example. When somebody contacts me for an appointment, they're like, hey, I'd like to come in. Can you send me the specials? And I'm like, sure. I first actually ask them for their email. I'm like, could you please send me your email? And that way I can send you more information and specials. And then for the email, I actually give them a discount. So after I get their email, I'm like, okay, great. I have times available today and tomorrow. What day works best for you? They're like, well, I can do today. Okay, I have times available at 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. What time works best for you? 3 o'clock. All right, would you like a 60 or 90 minute? 90 minute. Okay, perfect. And then I actually have a little script. It's like a paragraph long. It's like, this is how long you're coming in, at what time, the location, my phone number. I also have something, if people don't show up, I have a cancellation fee, which actually does help to make sure that people are respecting your time, because if it's going to cost them, they actually show up. Now, that's a little bit harder to do in this business, because obviously I can't be charging people who don't show up to appointments, but that's why you have the step-by-step system of how we contact and invite, because by the time you actually invite them out, they're interested in actually seeing what you're doing, and then you're not wasting your time. But anyway, back to the scheduling, I actually have a paragraph of what I send to them. I'm going to see you at this time, at this place, for this long. I'll see you then. Text me when you arrive. And it really does make things so much different. And this is a much more professional way to do it, because I've also done it in network marketing as well. Hi, Kevin. How's it going? I've done it in network marketing as well, and everyone's like, wow, this sounds very professional. Like, I'm very surprised that with what you guys are, because people aren't used to hearing such a professional method of doing this, because everyone's so used to a friend calling them being like, oh my god, I'm so excited. And instead, when you handle it in this way, people take you more seriously. They're like, okay, I would like to hear what you're doing, and I like how you did this. Many times when we sit down with people, they're just like, I'm usually not into this whole network marketing thing, but the way you guys did this, I really like how you guys just ran me through this, and I feel comfortable doing this with other people and not burning any bridges. Jeff, do you have anything else to add? No?
So the main thing is your first problem is going to be getting a hold of enough people.
Mm-hmm.
That's your first problem always, just having enough. Here, switch me out.
Yep.
Getting a hold of enough people is really your biggest issue, and then once you get a hold of enough people, your second problem is just being able to book the appointments to be able to talk with everyone. If you can't get a hold of them, if you don't have enough people to talk to, that's probably most people's main issue inside of direct sales and network marketing. Getting a hold of enough people. Where do you get people from? And obviously they always say build a list and this, that, and the other thing. And most people, they cherish these shitty relationships they have with people. I mean, let's face it, most of the relationships we hold on to, again, we go back to that basic comfort zone, that basic human instinct where we want to build this circle where nothing ever changes. And most people have relationships with people that are so horrible, but it's like we don't want to alienate those people because those are the only people we have. And I felt like that for years. I had a bunch of really super terrible relationships, but I coveted them. I held on to them like they were cherished because they were the only relationships I had with people. So if I ruined those relationships, I had no relationships with anybody. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm glad for the friends that I do have because I don't have any other friends. Nobody else will hang out. And what ended up happening is as I started growing and as I started learning things, what I did is as I moved forward and I got for lack of a better words, when I got my shit together, the people who didn't come along with me and get their stuff together and back in line didn't want to hang out with me anyway. They didn't want to hang out with me. Why? Because when you start doing well and you start having money and you start being able to go places, the people who don't get it together, who aren't able to do those things, don't like hanging out with you. Oh, wow, you're always going and doing stuff. You can hear it in the back of their language. They'll be like, hey, it's really good to see you, but I never get to hang out with you because you're always doing stuff. You always have that money stuff and you're able to go places and you're always eating out and you're always... Yeah, because that's what happens when you get it together. Like I wasn't around people who had it together for a long time. So I coveted those relationships and I was like almost like I don't want to go show them because if they don't like this and they don't want to come in, then I won't have any friends left. So one thing that's the great equalizer, and we're not going to get into huge depth, we'll do this next week, is talking to leads. If you want to basically be set free inside of business, and you haven't spent the time to build relationships with people that are self-employed, people that own businesses, people that are they have those skills already, and you're just trying to convince the general public, the people that if I found it's harder to recruit somebody who needs it than who wants it. It's harder to recruit somebody who needs it. What do I mean by that? It's harder to recruit somebody who makes $7, $8, $9, $10, $11, $12 an hour. Those are harder people to recruit. Why? Because the mentality that surrounds $7 to basically $15 an hour in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, that mentality is, I would rather have somebody else be responsible for the risk. I would rather have somebody else be responsible for growing the business. I'll just sit here and maintain it. As long as somebody else brings it in the door, I'll talk to them. As long as somebody else does the advertising and spends the money. I could never think, I actually had some people recently that I was talking to, and they're like, we have to understand that's a big expense. I was like, what is a big, I didn't even know what the hell they were talking about. They're like, getting involved is a big decision. I was like, shit. I mean, like $100. Like, if $100 is a big decision to you, I love what Gary Vaynerchuk says. If $100 is a big decision to you, your shit is broken. I mean, you have more issues than you possibly can imagine. So when somebody tells me that, I get where they're at in life, how they're looking at things, how low their bar is set. How much they're going to have to climb just to get to zero, because at that point you're below zero. And we're not talking about your self-worth. I believe the person is worthy. I believe the person could do it, but their mentality of their own belief is so low. The circle that they've put themselves in is so low. It's one thing to be like, look, I need to climb the ladder. These people aren't even at ground level. They've dug themselves a hole so deep that they can't even see the light of day. I don't know if you've ever, met people like that. So what our job is basically to inspire people, to motivate people, to show people that they can get out of those situations. And what we're doing is we're recruiting a ton of people right now and basically bringing them to zero and then showing them these skills. So I would rather, Ken, what's going on? I would rather bring people to zero after I've made money, personally. So what I'm doing is I'm focusing on what? I'm focusing on the self-employed. I'm focusing on business owners. I'm focusing on the majority of the people that I went after and recruited in the beginning already made six figures. It's easier to recruit that person. A lot of people won't even go talk to those people because they're like, well, they make six figures and I make 30,000 or 40,000 and oh my gosh, they won't listen to me. Those are the people that if you can get in front of them, they already understand business. They already get it. Your job is just to get in front of them and then get them in touch with somebody else who makes six figures. That's where people lose it. A $30,000, $40,000 person is going to have a hard time convincing a $100,000 person, but a $30,000 or $40,000 person has a great opportunity to get them in touch with somebody else who makes six figures who has the ability to influence them. That's where third party works best. And if you look at this drawn out, it makes so much more sense. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. The reason for the third party isn't just third party, it's also relatability. What a lot of people do is they use the wrong third party. A lot of people don't even realize that when they're in direct sales and network marketing. So we'll talk about that at another time as well. And we've got to wrap things up at this point because at 12, we actually have to get out of here, get on the road. We're going to head up north and we're actually going to talk to the mayor of a particular town here in Indiana, a contact that a friend had. We're going to grab lunch and, talk about stuff, including network marketing. Imagine that. You can even talk to the mayor about it. He might know some people. I hope he knows some people because he's, running things, right? So with that, guys, I hope this helps out. When you're out there, contact, invite, present, follow up, and then you're going to get people to events. I don't hard close people. What I do is I put people in front of the information. I let them make their own decisions. But how many people are you getting in front of the information is first of all. How many people do you get in front of the information? And then what is the process you take them through? Most people are concerned about their company. They're like, my company's great. My product, it's all about the product. It's all about the compensation. Most people are focused on these three things. The reality is these three things are necessary and have to be in place to build a business, but they're not the most important. The most important thing are these two things: the people you're working with and the process. If you have the people and the process right, you can make any company work. But you can be in the best company with the best product with the best compensation plan. And if you don't have these two things, you'll fail no matter what company you're in. I mean, I've watched it happen over and over again. So with that, guys, I hope that was helpful. Have a great weekend. It's Good Friday. Have a great weekend. If you're going to celebrate. Happy Easter to everyone who's celebrating. If you're not celebrating, that's fine too. We like everybody the same. So appreciate it. Have a great weekend.